Hello everybody, Eric again. Like and subscribe. Here we go. Let's read about the 8th millennium BC. The 8th millennium BC spanned the years 8000 BC to 7001 BC, circa 10 Ka to circa 9 Ka. In chronological terms, it is the second full millennium of the current Holocene epoch, and is entirely within the pre-Pottery Neolithic B, PPNB phase of the early Neolithic. It is impossible to precisely date events that happened around the time of this millennium, and all dates mentioned here are estimates mostly based on geological and anthropological analysis or by radiometric dating. Global environment. In the geological timescale, the first stratigraphic stage of the Holocene epoch is the Greenlandian from about 9700 BC to the fixed date 6236 BC, and so included the whole of the 8th millennium. The Greenlandian followed the Younger Dryas, and essentially feature a climate shift from near glacial to interglacial, causing glaciers to retreat and sea levels to rise. Towards the end of the 8th millennium, the Holocene climate optimum, HCL, also called the Holocene Thermal Maximum, HTM, began as a warm period lasting roughly 4,000 years into about 3000 BC. Insolation during summers in the northern hemisphere was usually strong, with pronounced warming in the higher latitudes such as Greenland, northern Canada, and northern Europe, with a resultant reduction in Arctic sea ice. During the 8th millennium, there were 4 known volcanic eruptions that measured magnitude 5 above on the Volcanic Explosivity Index, VEI. These were at Wachoma Kodora in New Zealand's Topovolcanic Zone, about 7560 BC, Lebanon Pass in the Kuril Islands, about 7480 BC, Pinatubo on the island of Luzon in the Philippines, about 7460 BC, Fisher Kodora, and on Lumanek Island in the Aleutians about 7420 BC. The biggest eruption was at Fisher Caldera, VEI 6, producing more than 50 kilometers to the 12 CU miles of tephra. The date of circa 7640 BC has been theorized for the impact of Tolman's hypothetical bolide with Earth. The hypothesis holds that there was a resultant global catastrophism, such as the legendary universal deluge of lines, or asteroids or comets. According to radiometric dates, the main occupation phases recognized at Shilakambos took place between the end of the 9th millennium BC and the end of this millennium, long before the Karaketla culture. The fact remains that its disappearance in the middle phase of Shilakambos in the second half of this millennium is not an isolated incident, but one of a number of expressions of a deep cultural change. Population and communities. Outside the Near East, most people around the world still lived in scattered hunter-gatherer communities that remained firmly in the Paleolithic. Within the Near East, Neolithic culture and technology had become established throughout much of the Fertile Crescent by 8000 BC, and was gradually spreading westward, though it is not believed to have reached Europe till about the end of this millennium. Planting and harvesting techniques were transferred through Asia Minor and across the Aegean Sea to Greece and the Balkans. The techniques were, in the main, cultivation of wheats and barleys, and domestication of sheep, goats, and cattle. The world population was probably stable and slowly increasing. It has been estimated that there were some 5 million people circa 10,000 BC, growing to 40 million by 5000 BC, and 100 million by 1600 BC. That is an average growth rate of 0.27% PA from the beginning of the Neolithic to the Middle Bronze Age. Fertile Crescent. By circa 7500 BC, see map above right. Important sites in or near the Fertile Crescent, including Jericho, Angazal, Alai, Tel Sarad, Tel Abu Harara, Tel Kermel, Tel Murbet, Jerf Almar, Göbekli Tepe, the Valley Quarry, the Selar, Kuturuk, Alan Simentapesi, Kuniotapesi, Shanadar, Jamar, Zobar, Anjduai, and Ali Kosh. Jericho in the Jordan Valley continued to be the world's most significant site through this millennium. Kutahuruks, the image, was a large Neolithic and Chalcolithic proto-city settlement in southern Anatolia that flourished from circa 7500 BC until it was abandoned circa 5700 BC. Pottery and dating systems. Rudimentary clay vessels were hand-built, often by means of coiling. As the potter's wheel had yet to be invented, vessels were then pit-fired. Dame Kathleen Kenyon was the principal archaeologist at Tel Es Sultan, ancient Jericho, and she discovered that there was no pottery there. The vessels she found were made from stone, and she reasonably surmised that others made from wood or vegetable fibers would have long since decayed. The first chronological pottery system had been devised by Sir Arthur Evans for his Bronze Age findings at Knossos, and Kenyon used this as a benchmark for the Near East Neolithic. She divided the period into phases called Pre-Pottery Neolithic A, PPNA, from circa 10,000 BC to circa 8800 BC, Pre-Pottery Neolithic B, PPNB, which includes the entire 8th millennium, from circa 8800 BC to circa 6500 BC, and then Pottery Neolithic PN, which had varied start points from circa 6500 BC into the beginnings of the Bronze Age towards the end of the 4th millennium, circa 3000 BC. Agriculture in the Americas. It was from circa 8000 BC that agriculture developed throughout the Americas, especially in modern Mexico. There were numerous New World crops, as they are now termed, and domestication began with the potato and the sorcavita squash about this time. Other crops began to be harvested over the next 7,500 years, including chili peppers, maize, peanut, avocado, beans, cotton, sunflower, cocoa, and tomato. Other cultural developments. The Mount Sandal Mesolithic site in Ireland is dated to circa 7900 to 7600 BC. This was long thought to be the earliest human activity on the island, until the discovery of the Alice and Grenadine cave pushed the date back to 10,000 BC. The date for construction of a round house near Heinrich Niedermühlen is calculated circa 7600 BC by radiocarbon dating. The site is believed to have been occupied for about 100 years. The Homo sapiens fossil from Campcapel in southern France, discovered in 1909, is estimated to be 9,500 years old, circa 7500 BC. Bye for now.